Hey, I'm Abby and welcome back to the Life Work Balance YouTube channel. Today I would like to talk to you about the 3 stages of the interview process. You can expect these 3 stages out of any interview that you participate in. But before we go ahead and jump into that, please go ahead and give this a thumbs up if you're looking forward to hearing what these 3 stages are. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can receive life work balance advice delivered directly to you every Sunday. When it comes to any interview that you're a part of, you will encounter 3 stages: the opening stage, the interview stage, and the closing stage. So what is the difference between all of these 3 stages, and what can you do to prepare for each of these stages? Well, first, let's talk about the opening stage. When it comes to the opening of an interview, there are 3 things that will typically happen during this stage of the interview. First, you can expect to hear introductions. This is introductions of the interviewers who are in the room with you, whether it's a virtual interview or an actual in-person interview. Once they introduce themselves, they will likely ask you to introduce yourself via the question, "Tell me about yourself." If you're not sure how to answer this question, please go ahead and check out my video on how to answer that question. This is a question that you can expect in almost every interview that you have. You may not be asked this question during the second or third round of interview, but you will be asked this question almost guaranteed during the first interview for any job that you apply to. So if you're unsure about how to answer that question, please check out my video on how to answer the question, "Tell me about yourself." But after introductions, then there might be an overview of the position. Now, this will likely be done by the people who are in the interview with you, and they will just do a brief overview of what to expect from the position. Sometimes this doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. So that's why I like to include it in the opening phase of the interview process. So again, when you have the opening stage of an interview, it will be introductions, both of the people who are present in the interview, who are helping conduct the interview, as well as for you, the interviewee. You will answer the question, "Tell me about yourself," or "Tell us about yourself." Then there might also be an overview of the position. After the opening phase of the interview, you'll move into the actual interview portion. During the interview portion, you will be asked various types of questions. You'll be asked behavioral-based questions, where you'll be asked to describe behaviors that you engage in for certain situations. Behavioral-based questions are very common in almost any interview. The other type of question that you might encounter will be technical questions. So these are questions that are very specific to the type of job that you're applying to. Now, these technical questions might be hypotheticals. So if you were in a situation where you were dealing with this sort of problem, describe to us how you would solve that problem. Now, that may also be a behavior-based question because it might be a behavior that you're engaging in. But when it comes to the actual technicality of the position, it may be something that only someone in an engineering field might do, or someone who is coding with a specific type of computer language. So it could be very technical and specific to the type of position that you've applied to. They may also ask you a question like, "Why do you want to work here?" Do not just say, "I'm looking for a job that will just give me money." You want to be a little bit more thorough and thoughtful with your response to this type of question. So during the application process, think about why you actually do want to work for this organization. Sure, you might have experience working in this type of job in your past, and maybe you do want the money, but try to go a little bit deeper. Do a little bit of research about the organization, their mission, their vision, their values. Maybe do some research about the people that you'll be working with or some of the projects that you could be working on. You want to speak directly about why you want to work for the organization and why you want this job that is more than just the job and money. There may also be position-specific questions that are posed to you during this process. These types of questions might ask you, what do you expect to accomplish in the first 30, 60, or 90 days in the job? Now, these questions may not be asked during the first interview, but they may be asked in follow-up interviews, especially if you're going into a job that has some leadership potential. If you're coming into a job and they want to know what type of output you can expect from yourself, this is the type of question they will pose to you. So what do you see yourself accomplishing in the first 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days? So it's important to consider your answer to this question, even if they don't ask it, because it can help you prepare for actually moving into the position, and maybe even give you a foundation for how to respond to a question that you might ask to them about what they see you accomplishing in the first 30, 60, or 90 days. That way you can do a little bit of research and see how in line your thoughts about what you would accomplish in those first months, how it aligns with what they expect you to accomplish in those first months. And then finally, the third phase of any interview will be the closing. In the closing, this is where they will ask you if you have any questions for the interviewers. Under no circumstances do you say no. Even if this is a position that you've interviewed for in the past, or it's an internal position and you feel like you know what to expect. Always, always come up with at least 3 different questions prepared that relate to the position that you have applied to. Now, these might be logistical questions, these might be more technical job-specific questions, or these might be more culture-based questions. If you haven't already, please go ahead and check out my video on the types of questions that you should ask at the end of an interview. And in that video, I also talk about the hard question that you should ask. The hard question that you ask will set you apart from all of the other people who are interviewing for the position. This is a question that you pose to the interviewers that asks if they have any hesitation about you, your experience, or your education, and that gives you an opportunity to give additional information or data to help the interviewers make their decision about how they're going to move forward. Another aspect of this closing step of the interview is to talk about logistics and next steps for the interview process or the hiring process. Maybe there's another interview or several rounds of interviews that come after this one. Maybe they decide to move forward with you and they tell you that they're going to need to do a background check and reference checks. So when you discuss logistics, that gives you a little bit more information about what to expect next. You can also ask when you can expect to hear back from the interviewers. That will give you a good idea of when to expect to hear an email, a phone call, and if you don't get a response from them, then you can go ahead and reach out and put the ball back into their court, take some control, and try to get some feedback or input from them sooner rather than later. And then really, the fourth and final phase of any interview, which isn't really part of the actual interview process itself, is for you to send a thank you. So after the interview is closed, you want to make sure that you take the time to draft a genuine, specific thank you note to the interviewer or interviewers who participated in the interview panel. Now, this thank you can be sent via email or it can be sent via snail mail, but no matter what, send a follow-up thank you, thanking the interviewers for their time and for the opportunity. Again, even if this is an internal position where you know the people that you've been interviewing with, sending that follow-up thank you will continue to set you apart from other people who interviewed for the same position. So, just to recap, we've got the 3 main phases of the interview process. We've got the opening, which includes an overview of the position, introductions made by the interviewers as well as by yourself, and them asking you the question to tell us a little bit about yourself. From there, it moves into the actual interview. You can expect behavioral-based questions, technical questions, questions that are like, why do you want to work for us? Why do you want this job? What do you expect from yourself in the first 30, 60, or 90 days? From the actual body of the interview, then you'll move into the closing. This will be where the interviewers ask you if you have any questions for them. Always say yes, you have questions, and always come with questions prepared. And then you'll go over logistics and expectations for next steps. From those 3 steps of the interview process, then it's up to you to really seal it off with a nice pretty bow by sending a thank you note, thanking the interviewers for their time and the opportunity to interview. So hopefully this provided you with a good outline of what to expect for your next interview. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, please drop them in the comments box below and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. I like to read through all of the comments and respond directly, and it's a good way for me to know if the content that I'm putting out is beneficial for you, if it's helpful, and if you have any ideas or things that you're looking for from me that I can provide in a video, put them in the comments below and I'll try to tailor some videos to your specific needs. If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And again, as always, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can receive life-work balance advice delivered directly to you every Sunday. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.